Hello. So, I thought as the machine whirls over there, processing a recording of Mockborg, we would do another chunk of Alone Against the Flames, the solo Call of Cthulhu game from the starter box set, which I did a while ago. Well, not that long ago. A couple of days ago. Yes, so we left our character. I forgot to say, yes, it's Alone Against the Flames. So we left our character, Peter Hawthorne, had just gone to bed in a lodging house in a small town that I can't remember the name of. A small town... Ospey? Or was that where we... No, it was... it had... Oh, I'm sure we'll mention it again. It was... We were definitely with a May Ledbetter. It's her lodging house. There's her daughter Ruth, from memory, who is a child who's 10. What I do remember is that May Ledbetter should have a slight Irish lilt, and I was meaning to practice that a bit, so I watched Father Ted, but I don't know, maybe I'll tilt into it, maybe not. I remember she had a light voice, tone of voice, because I listened to it back. But anyway, Peter, so I'll go for about half hour. We might get more done because we won't be rolling the character, or possibly we will, I don't know. Do we need the dice yet? We don't need the dice yet, but the dice are all there. That's done. We're again using the starter set dice. I've also got my dice in there. Nice, little carry bag. Which, so this is. I made some dice. So I'll show the dice bag at some other time actually, and link to who made that, because it's a lovely bag. I made it based on her pattern as a YouTuber, but that I got because I used to listen to. It was RPG MP3, and years ago, I did the Secret Santa thing they did, and I received that from Secret Santa, which was quite cool. Anyway, let us continue. Peter went to bed. Peter Hawthorne went to bed, who is antiquarian book, old books, where he's lost a hit point. Due to that bus sliding off, mainly specialises in intelligence and education, with an aspiring writer who is on his way to Arkham to take up a new job that had been offered to him, leaving his town, which I can't remember what it's called. The bus had an accident, the engine failed, the driver, who I also can't remember the driver's name, I just remember May Ledbetter, because there's somebody at work whose name is Ledbetter. Anyway, so we start where we finish off. I will erase the circle I drew around 154. 154. You dream of fire in the grate. Coursing? Many different colours. Shimmering through the dancing tongues of flame. At first they're tiny, almost microscopic, but then they grow and grow until a kaleidoscopic inferno spills from the fireplace, spreading across the floor, up the sheets. You wake with a start. Daylight glints through the curtains. You get up and examine the grate, blinking the sleep from your eyes. It's quite cold. If you have taken any damage, you may heal 1 hit point back for your night's sleep. We did. We took that 1 hit point damage. So we heal our 1 hit point. And then we go to 166. May seems to have no running water, but has supplied some in a ceramic jug. You freshen up at the washstand and go in. She cooks a hearty breakfast and leaves you in peace to eat. At about 7:30, you're paid up, packed and ready to go. You bid May goodbye. Goodbye, May. and she wishes you the best for your new career in Arkham. Good luck to you, young sir. Good luck. If you succeed at a skill roll last night and wish to investigate the results further, go to 178. We didn't. Otherwise, go to 192. I definitely remember we did not succeed at any skill rolls last night. You're already tired of your heavy bags. Hopefully Silas, that was his name, has repaired the motor coach and you can resume your long journey. A Salpus, oh yeah, there's the festival as well, wasn't there? There's a festival in 2 nights' time, so not today, but tomorrow. A Salpus he might be, but the old driver seemed to understand his vehicle well enough. You pause to check your watch, still 20 minutes early, and round the final corner. The motor coach is gone. You put your bags down and search the area, trekking up and down the slopes and round the corners. At the edge of the village you trace the long road back as it winds around the hills. 8 o'clock comes and goes. There's no coach to be seen. A passing villager notices your bags. Looking for the bus? I heard him take off at first light. He's due back in 3 or 4 days. If you need a place to stay, May Ledbetter rents rooms. The man raises his hat to you and strolls on to the village. You curse Silas under your breath. Perhaps he went for parts, but you wonder if the old goat has stranded you here on purpose. But why would he do that? (218) May's doing laundry and looks surprised to see you again. Did you forget something? When you explain the situation, she offers to store your bags while you try and arrange alternative transport. You're grateful to relinquish the load. Nobody here has anything like a car. She strokes her chin and narrows her eyes. Maybe you could find somebody with a horse and cart for your bags. I could ask around later. Try Mr. Winters at the village hall. He'll know if anyone will. Ask along the artisans. Their workshops are first left on Salisbury Street. I remember her telling us that last night. She reaches over and squeezes your wrist. Don't worry. I won't see you sleeping in the street, money or no money. If you thank May and turn to face the village. Go to page 6. I suppose it's good to say this because if I forget and something interrupts, then I can listen to it back. Page 6, or go to number 6. You wander the streets of Emberhead without any particular destination in mind. The village is built on a relatively flat upland with splendid views. To the north, the hazy tip of the white mountains reach for the heavens. To the south, the sparkling waters of Lake... This is a weird name. Winnipesky touch the horizon. The village itself takes less than 5 minutes to cross from edge to edge. You arrive on the winding road to the west. The only other road leads to the south, following a lower ridge of land as it turns east. In the southwest of the village, an open grassy space borders a ruined church, its graveyard cresting the hills. To the northeast, the 3 main thoroughfares meet at raised black metal structure. To the northeast, the 3 main thoroughfares meet at a raised black metal structure. I wonder if that is the beacon. It looms stark against the blue sky. Now, we have some choices. We've got ask about transport at the local general store. Probably a good idea. Seek out the village hall. Is that where she said? That's where Mr. Winters was, I think. Walk down the lower level and check out the eastern road. Examine the large metal structure. Explore the church. Look for local people with their own transport needs. I reckon going to the local general store. The general store is probably a place where people would hang around and they might know things. It's like the village post office in England, I suppose. Always go to the village post office, says Jeeves. Yes, I think the village post office should have answers for us. We shall go to the general store. The general store is on a corner besides the main road, just before it plunges to the south. The shopkeeper is a brisk, immense lady with a starched apron and strong shoulders. She looks hard at your unfamiliar face. Transport! There's a motor coach comes through twice a week. Did you miss it? Truck brings in my supplies every Tuesday, but is not due until next week. She shrugs. It seems Emberhead is content to keep its distance from the outside world. Right, well, you have enough money to buy 1 or 2 inexpensive everyday items. Note them down on your investigator sheet. Remember the year is 1927. The shop stocks no weapons except a dusty hunting knife, which you may purchase if you want. I don't think we need a hunting knife. I don't know if we feel that endangered. I think maybe something to eat as we wander around might be in tune. What do we got? 1920s equipment 396. This is in the Keeper's Guide. I could probably look for the smaller book 396, but here we go. Let us get the weather. Said it's quite nice weather, so we won't get anything additional weather wise. We've got meals out, tools, investigator transport. We could buy, because it is the 1920s, I think we will get ourselves, where can we write stuff? Is it on the back of the sheet? A packet of cancer sticks. This is the 1920s. We will buy a packet of cigarettes, so as maybe she'll like us. And maybe did they have like chocolate candy bars in the 1920s? I think so. I think they did. I remember back in the day I had I think it was a Cthulhu like third party product. It was a catalogue of shopping things. It's quite interesting just from a history point of view. That's a straight jacket. I don't think we'll get one just yet. Scars is a bit much. Packet of cigarettes. You would sell cigarettes. It doesn't have one. That's a shame. Well, we'll say something small to eat. We'll get something small to eat, but I won't write it down. Okay. Done. Go to page 20. Go to section 25. 25 or 27? 25. 25. You're beginning to get your bearings in Emberhead. Would you like to explore some more? You may choose another option from those below. Do not repeat a previous choice. Once you've tried 4 options, or before that, if you're ready to move on, go to 3. So I'll write down 3. Ask about transport at the local general store. Done that. Seek out the village hall. Walk to the lower level and check out the eastern road. Examine the large metal structure. Explore the church. Let us walk down to the lower level and check out the eastern road. Was it the eastern road she said the R sounds were on? I remember Salisbury Street or Salisbury Road. 115. See, Peter Hawthorne has lots of things on his mind, so he doesn't note things. He really should note things down. 115. The air is fresh and the walk down to the lower ridge invigorating. You notice cultivated fields stretching through the lowlands around Emberhead, and among the crops some livestock, but no horses. Are you going to have to make your onward journey on foot? Further down the road skirts the edge of the ridge and descends. There are a few scattered hovels here with signs of habitation. They are set a substantial distance apart. As you examine them, a door opens and an older man steps out. He wears a bedraggled suit, but he carries a piece of cloth which he tosses over his head like a hood, and as he does this, he sees you and freezes. Make a luck roll. If you succeed, turn to 127. If we fail, turn to 135. Alright, let us show the dice. So our luck. What is our luck? Our luck is currently 65. And we rolled 26, so we succeed. 127. 127. The man looks up at the village, scanning the cliff tops. You get a brief flash of his face. There's something unsettling about it. Then he turns to walk away from the road. But as he does, he raises a hand and slowly beckons at you. If you follow the strange man, turn to 142. If this seems unwise, turn to 160. Oh, I don't think Peter has any. 142. It's a bit weird. The place is weird. You're a bit stranded, but if I don't follow people and talk to people, if he might be able to help me. It's a bit weird. You follow the man around the outcrop. He glances up and then steps between two rocks and vanishes. Closer inspection reveals a narrow channel leading into the cliff. There's just enough light to see a small natural chamber within. You will be uncomfortably close to this man if you go inside. To follow him in, turn to 191. To keep your distance, turn to 160. I don't think Peter's going to follow me in. I think Peter will sort of like lean into the entrance bit and go, hello? Did you want something? 160. I'm new to town. My name's Peter Hawthorne. You turn back to your road. Oh, okay. So I can either follow him or so. This is the problem with Choose Your Own Adventures. Maybe he would have said come in, and I'm like, or maybe I'm like, okay. Maybe he wasn't signaling me. Maybe he was like beckoning to someone else, not me. You turn back to the road and your core business, getting out of Emberhead and onwards to Ospey. That's where we're going, Ospey. The ridge gives a good viewpoint from which you can see the course of the road. It winds with the hills, disappearing into woodland for a while before emerging further on. You lose sight of it somewhere towards a second patch of woodland. By your best estimation, that is at least 6 or 7 miles distance, and you see no other settlements or traffic. It may be worth taking a chance and walking. The weather's still mild, but you'll need supplies before you attempt it. 25. In which case, we might go to the 25. We might go to the town hall and see if we can speak to this Mr. Winters. You're beginning to... Oh, this is you're beginning to get your bearings. I mean, church. Might be able to help us at the church. Let's go to the town hall. So this is our third place. Town hall, 84. We've got one more. And then we would need to go to page 3. 84. The village hall backs against a cliff to the east end of Salisbury Street. Oh, Salisbury Street is where the park stands are. It's the largest building you've seen so far in Emberhead. It is, however, locked and shuttered. You walk around it, peering through the gaps in the shutters. Do you know what I was thinking? It's not going to be open this early in the morning, the town, like the village hall. There seems to be one large room, presumably for the community meetings, and a smaller annex that serves as an office and archive. One of the windows is bricked up. Back at the main door, you can see no posted opening hours. Who's this? Mr. Winters doesn't open up mornings this time of year, says a grey-garbed woman passing by. Best come back this afternoon. You ask whether the office has a telegraph. Don't know, she shrugs. Who would we call? You'll have to try again later. 25, last one. I mean, the church is also going to be shut at this time of the morning. But let's go to the church. It's another place where people congregate. We might be able to get some help from someone. 34. Maybe the vicar needs to drive around and see people. Maybe he's got access to a car, or even a push bike would help. You cross the street towards the church. I wonder if we could buy a push bike off him. As you glance at your left, your gaze alights on a large metal structure. Something bothers you about its positioning. You back up and look again. Yes, Emberhead's central thoroughfare points directly at the structure. This seems too precise to be a coincidence. You press on and draw into the shadow of the church. The building is a sorry state. The top of the steeple is missing a ragged gash of splintered boards marking its absence, and the floor beneath it seems to have collapsed. It appears to have been torn through the roof of the main building as it fell. Only the back half is still intact. The white paint which once covered the church has yellowed and peeled. I might read that bit again. The building is in a sorry state. The top of the steeple is missing. Oh, right, that's what I missed in my head. I think I read it out. The top of the steeple is missing. A ragged gash of splintered boards marking its absence, and the floor beneath it has collapsed. It appears to have torn through the roof of the building as it fell. Only the back half is still intact. That's a bit weird. The white paint which once covered the church has yellowed and peeled, so the church isn't in everyday use, which would be weird for 1927. It seems safe enough to explore the rear section. Old pews are stacked against the wall, choked with mildew. Most of the windows are broken. You guess this church has been disused for about 20 years. There's little more to interest you. That is pretty weird. That's weird for 1927. Make a ride roll. You may have a bonus die. Roll the 10's percentage die twice and take the lowest result. If you succeed, go to 46. Otherwise, make a ride roll. Why a ride roll? Alright. Wonder why a ride roll. Ride. It's open. It's 0.5. It's 0.5. It's 5. Alright, we'll get a bonus dice, and so we'll roll the blue one and we'll take the lowest. If this succeeds, I will be very surprised. Oh man! That's 06. We just missed the success. 06. Wow. If I was GMing it, I'd give that. But we're not. 25. We have to go to page 3 then, because we explored the general store, the village hall, the eastern road, and the church. So now we go to page 3. Now we go to section 3. Your morning exertions have left you hungry. You roam the streets of Emberhead looking for sustenance. There's nothing resembling a busy cafes of your hometown, or anything that might be called a restaurant. It's beginning to look like you'll have to get supplies from the general store when May Ledbetter comes down the street with a girl trailing in her wake. This must be Ruth. As she notices you, she races past her mother and approaches you with a smile. This is a different Ruth from the shy creature of last night. As she reaches you, she stops and stretches her arms up in celebration. She looks up into your eyes. Abruptly, the smile drops from her face, and she looks several years older. Get out before the festival, she hisses. Get out! And she blinks hard and then scuttles back towards her mother. May approaches, wrapping an arm around her daughter's shoulders. She smiles. How are you getting on? Have you found any transport? Startled, you explain the frustration of the situation. I'll try Mr. Winters in the village hall. He's always in the afternoons. You'll be hungry by now. Help yourself to any food in the house. The door's not locked. You glance at Ruth, where she has squirreled herself behind her mother's leg. Her eyes implore you to silence. If you ask Ruth about what she said, go to 9. If you ask May about what Ruth said, go to 15. If you say nothing, go to 22. I think I'm going to say nothing, because the place is weird and little Ruthie is acting weird. You take your leave of the Ledbetters and head towards their house. Time. 7 more minutes. The door opens easily. That's like I'm saying, you can have 7 more minutes stories and then it has to be lights out. In the low kitchen you make a meal from the stodgy bread and leftover stew. A little window offers a view to the mountains. If you learned one thing this morning, it was that Emberhead streets hold little to occupy the visitor from out of town. But there is still about 5 hours of daylight remaining. You could take some provisions and the bare essentials from your luggage and set out in the hopes of reaching another settlement before dark. Or you could ask the advice from this Mr. Winters. Now, May has said out, but Mr. Winters might be able to have a car or something. So I could speak to Mr. Winters and then I could get ready and go out. I mean, Ruth, little Ruth is 10. So it's, you can believe most 10-year-olds, but still, I don't want to walk all that way. And I don't even know how far I'm walking. It's at least 7, actually I could quite easily walk 7 miles, but this fella might not be able to. So let's go and speak to Mr. Winters, because the village hall might be open there this the afternoon. The village hall overlooks the lower north ridge of the village. You walk along Salisbury Street to find it. conscious of the oppressive black metal structure framed at the end of the road. The shutters on the hall are open, and some windows have been left ajar. There's no knocker, but a little bell over the entrance tinkles as you push the front door open. Inside, a sturdy door to your right is marked Private. To your left, an opening leads through a bright room. You take a few steps inside. Benches line the walls, and there are 2 notice boards mounted between the windows. I reckon, let's go and have a look at the notice board. We can look at the notice board or knock on the door. Let's look at the notice board first. See if anyone's advertising like for give people lifts. Was that 17? Go to 17. The floorboards creak beneath you as you cross the room. You feel a slight spring in your step. Perhaps this room is used for a gymnasium for the village children. One notice board appears to be for the adults of the community and one for the children. The former looks neglected, featuring handwritten advertisements for household items and a yellowed note about telegraph pricing. There's nothing about the festival. The children's notice board has a schedule for weekly creche services and a number of paintings obviously done by the children themselves. Most are incoherent, though colourful. As best as you can tell, they depict fireworks or perhaps the tale of Joseph from the book of Genesis. One has lost a pin and hangs upside down. It shows a giant bird attacking Emberhead. Or it might simply be that the artist has not yet mastered the subtleties of scale. Make a spot hidden roll. Oh, I've got spot hidden. If you succeed, go to 30. If you fail, go to 37. Spot hidden, spot hidden. I've got a 40 at spot hidden. Use the green dice. I always seem to roll high. Foolish using the green dice. I should have got my other dice. 40. 18! Nice. That's a success. Go to 30. It's like gambling but without money. I don't like gambling. As the afternoon sun hits the floor, you notice something curious. The boards under the windows are newer than the boards at the centre of the floor. The frames also show signs of having been replaced in recent past. Perhaps rain leaked in and rotted the wood. You may check mark the small box next to spot hidden. Ooh, okay. Now go to 37. The door scrapes behind you. A middle-aged, bespectacled gentleman appears in the doorway. May I help you? You'd explain your visitor on May Ledbetter's recommendation. Ah, well, I am Clyde Winters. I'm not sure I can help you, but would you care for some coffee? I'm partial to a cup in the afternoon. He gestures to the open door behind him. This seems like a worthwhile opportunity, and you are a little thirsty. 43. This is where we get drugged and then tied to a pyre. You step through the door marked private. The other side of the village hall is in marked contrast to the public space. The room is compact, lined with shelves of books and a file alcove. One corner is reserved for a tiny pantry and what is presumably a water closet. A loo. You study Mr. Winters as he fills the percolator. Oh, has he got a percolator? Although thin on top, his hair is oiled and neatly swept back. His suit is a sober affair and well tailored, even though the cut is a little bit old-fashioned. A lesser man working alone might have loosened his bow tie for comfort. On the desk against the opposite wall, you notice what looks like a telegraph set. To ask about the telegraph immediately, go to 56. To make small talk with Mr. Winters, first go to 49. I think Peter Hawthorne would say, "Oh, you've got a telegraph. Can I call for help? Would that be okay?" The telegraph. Much as we value our isolation, we do need the link sometimes. You were hoping to send a message? Oh, I must apologise. The line has been down for 2 weeks now. I did report the fault, but of course they're not so speedy when the problem lies in a rural area. I'm expecting a repair the day after next. I do appreciate how frustrating this must be. The coach is due in 3 days, I think, but I think it's going to go west. Perhaps you might engage a wagon. One of the farmers, perhaps. You explain that you've asked a few of the residents already, but to no avail. I tell you what. Winters pours you a steaming cup of coffee. The dark liquid smells rich and strong. When the repair crew arrives, I'll ask them to take you back with them. How would that be? They might want $1 or $2 to grease the wheels. The day after tomorrow? It's less than ideal. But it's the first real opportunity you've had. Now, day after tomorrow is the festival, and little Ruthie did say get out. To thank Mr. Winters and leave, go to 180. To ask about his library, go to 62. I think Peter would ask about the library, so we'll go to 62. I see you like books. I'm quite knowledgeable on the books. I'm quite an antiquary. I really should do a Google look up that. 62. You make a small but flattering remark about a couple of the volumes on his shelves. Winters blushes with pleasure. Well, of course, they're not my personal collection. They do belong to the village, he says. But I did select most of the recent items. This is the community's library, you see. I put up the private sign to stop people just wandering in from the meetings in the other room. But this is really a public space. You scan the shelves. There's a sparse but respectable collection of mathematics and the sciences, passable sections on history and arts, and a shelf of literature. Here's a few lowbrow novels tacked away in a corner, with tatty copies of Bizarre Tale magazine. Quality does not always equate to popularity, I'm afraid. Winters gives you an apologetic smile. To take the time for some research in the library, go to 68. To leave while it's still light outside, go to 180. This is Peter. He does love his books. I think even though he knows he should be getting out of town, he will look at the library. Winters is happy for you to spend the rest of the afternoon in study and offers you an upright but comfortable chair. You have enough time to pursue one line of research in depth. And then we'll see if we can end. To read about the history of the area, to read about the festival, I reckon we'll read about the festival. The festival, 81. Let's read about this festival. You're not surprised to find there is no published work on Emberhead's festival. Winters pokes around and finds a cased monograph, handwritten on yellowing paper by a Dr. Analowski. An acquaintance of my father's, I believe, Winters says. The manuscript is somewhat difficult to read, and you make slow progress. Analowski speculates that the festival has its origins in pagan rites brought over by the Celtic settlers, which the Irish twang of Miss Ledbetter, which celebrate the ancient festivals of Beltane, Samhain, Imbolc, and a word that I can't say, but people who really love Cthulhu would probably wring my neck for not being able to say. Lughansid, Lughnassadh. Can't say it. There are lots of more common words I also can't say. There's some discussion of the struggle between the seasons and a couple of oblique references to the alignment in Emberhead. That's probably what this festival is. Analowski suggests that the meaning of the festival slowly changed around the turn of the century. The monograph terminates mid-sentence at the end of page 28, just as it begins to discuss the modern practices. You ask Winters if he has the remaining pages. No, I'm afraid those have been misplaced, he says. Perhaps they're still in the library somewhere, but, he shrugs, I must make the time for a thorough stock take one day. Go to page 99, and then we'll call it quits in a minute. The afternoon wears on. You've not quite finished your reading when Winters glances out of the window and stands up. He clears his throat. Make a credit roll. If you succeed, go to 111. If you fail, go to 105. Credit roll, I believe that was 20%, wasn't it? Credit rating, 20%. Oh dear. There's not much chance of this, is there? No, there isn't. 38. If you fail, go to 105. I'm afraid I have some errands to run before dark, so I must close the library for today. I hope you will return tomorrow afternoon if you're so inclined. You leave the building with Winters, waiting as he locks up. You thank him for the coffee and the access to the library. He disappears off down an alley. You hope to be away from the village before tomorrow afternoon, but it's good to know that there's a place for you that you can occupy yourself. But it's good to know that there's a place where you can occupy yourself. I think that's what he's meant to have said. Go to 180. Let's have a look at what 180 is, and if it's like going back to Miss Ledbetter's. Young Mary with Ruth. We'll quit. There we go. So we'll stop at 180. 180. We are returning to the Ledbetters. Let's see. Yes, this is what is going to happen that evening. So we will stop at 180, and so we will. The episode will end as Peter Hawthorne is returning to the Ledbetter's house, opening the front door and walking in to speak to Mary Ledbetter, and we'll see what happens next. And at that point, we will say, we are job done.